Hi, I'm Darian. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my experience studying Chinese in Tsinghua University, about the good, the bad, and the overall experience. So let's get started. So I've been actually studying Chinese for around 2 years in 2 different universities. Firstly, I studied Chinese somewhere else, and then I came to Tsinghua to improve my skills. So that's kind of a background story for you. In Tsinghua, you have actually several ways you can study. You can do it full-time, when you are studying 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that's a very intensive course. Or you can do it part-time. For example, if you're doing a degree, and on top of that you want to study Chinese, you can do it this way. And that's the way I have chosen. So, if you're doing the part-time, each course will last around 2 to 4 hours per week, plus additional homework. So, obviously it will be a bit longer. So who is the course for? Actually, there are so many different courses at Tsinghua that whether you are totally beginner and you don't know anything about Chinese, or whether you are quite advanced and you can speak, write fluently, there is always a course for you. So I would say there are something what I would call core courses, which is like Mandarin Basic 1, 2 and 3, so there are 3 levels, and then you have Intermediate 1, 2 and 3, High Intermediate 3 levels, and Advanced another 3 levels, which means in total you actually have 12 different levels depending on your ability to use and speak in Chinese. And on top of that, we also have many other courses. So you might have courses like Mandarin Pronunciation, Mandarin Conversation 1, 2 and 3 levels. You have Chinese News, Chinese characters, reading and writing as a course. You will have listening and speaking as another course. So there are many different courses you can choose from. So for me, I have chosen Basic 3, several of the intermediate courses, and several of the other types of courses like pronunciation and so on. And I found a lot of interesting value in it. Especially the courses like Chinese character learning, which is something I didn't see anywhere else. And this course, for example, teaches you so much about the characters, the origins, the radicals, the way the characters have been created initially, where do they come from, what is the meaning, as well as how they have changed and transformed over time. All of that actually shows you the kinds of information you might not normally come across, but is very interesting. And a lot of that is information that a lot of native Chinese speakers might not be familiar with. So I found it quite rewarding to learn it. However, it was also a very difficult course. All of that was in Chinese and quite at advanced level, so it was quite a challenge for me personally. So now let's talk about the format of the courses. All of the classes are fully in Chinese. There is no English instruction, which can be quite a challenge, especially at the beginning. Like for me personally, I was really struggling for the first several months when I was trying to get used to the language and there was no English to help you with. So you had to really struggle and get your way through it. And then in terms of the size of the classes, it might be between 15 to 30 people, more or less, around, depending on the course. And then for higher level courses, there is a higher chance that you will have less people for those courses. In terms of what I call the core courses, so like basic, intermediate, high intermediate and advanced, most of those courses are very heavily focused on learning the handwriting, the character writing. So if you're into that, you will learn so much from that experience. However, to be honest, nowadays a lot of people don't really use handwriting. Even in my other classes, when a teacher was trying to explain something and say something in Chinese or write a character, he sometimes would forget how to write it. Probably because he didn't really write it on the daily basis. So as you can see, in terms of handwriting, I can understand where it comes from, that you are building a foundation and it helps you really improve your Chinese. However, I think that it takes a lot of effort that could have been put into listening or speaking that would show you much quicker the effects of learning. So for this experience, I'm not quite sure it's the best approach. Also, the courses have quite a bit of homework, and as I mentioned, most of that homework will be based on writing the reports with your hand, not typing. So that's a lot of work that will take you outside of the classes. So what do I think about this experience? I would say that especially if you're learning the basics and you're totally confused and overwhelmed by the experience of learning Chinese, which is so different from, European languages, then I think the courses have a lot of value for you, because you can learn the basics of pinyin and writing, and they explain to you everything in one package and you can just follow along. And I think that experience is very useful. However, if you're more experienced, if you are maybe intermediate or advanced, then I would think twice. What are you going to take away from the courses? If you want to improve your handwriting, that might be a perfect course. However, for speaking, I think that you still will need to find somebody to talk to on the daily basis, one-on-one, and this will vastly improve your speaking abilities much faster than going into the classes. So it really depends what you are looking forward from the courses. Also, just like I mentioned before, if you want to learn specific type of material, like for example the radicals and the history of characters, this is such a fascinating area that might not be very practical for you on the daily basis, but it will really, improve your understanding and deepen it. So I think that was a really cool experience. Also, there are courses for pronunciation where you learn all about the tones and how to use them properly in different words and sentences, something that I'm still quite struggling with, to be honest, but it gave me a very good foundation, and I think that was another interesting course. But other than that, I think that you can still check out, like private tutoring or maybe exchange where you're learning more the speaking and writing, and that might give you more value from that. Most of the core courses use the CCC Textbook, which is a course in contemporary Chinese. There are 6 volumes of the textbook, and there are 12 levels, as we mentioned. So that means that each course is using around half of the textbook per course. So I think that's pretty cool, because then you're learning with one textbook all the time. There is no sudden jumps, and the vocabulary in these textbooks are very useful. They are very modern, so I think that's really nice. However, the grammar of the textbook is not really the best in terms of explanations, so for that you might look for some other better textbook like the PAVC, a Practical Audiovisual Chinese, or you might use a reference grammar book, like for example Grammar for Chinese Language Learners. This might be more useful. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe, like, and watch my other videos, and I will see you next time.